Hi, it's Regina Conlon here with Nazarene Compassion Alliance Northwest, and today I'm here with Pastor Sarah Emerson, who also is on staff with NCA Northwest, and has helped us as an organization and as a church really find a way to get involved and to build relationships with immigrant communities and with refugees. But today, Sarah is here to tell us about the new direction that she's taking in ministry. And we want all of you to get to know Sarah a little bit better and to hear about this new direction, and invite you to pray with her as she goes on her new adventure and find ways to support her in this next season of life. So, hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Can you just share a little bit more about yourself and your call to ministry?
Sure. Well, a couple of questions that seem to come up often when talking about a call to ministry are, when did you first receive Jesus as your Savior? And when did you first receive a call into ministry? And for me, I've been blessed in that I've been raised in a Christian home, and I've never known a time in my life where I haven't known the love of Jesus, where I haven't been walking with Him. And I prayed when I was 3 years old to accept Jesus into my life. And then by the time I was 6 years old, I knew that He was calling me into missionary service.
Fantastic. And so when did you go on your first mission trip?
So when I was 6 years old, I felt God calling me to China.
Wow.
And so over the course of the next 10 years, He developed that desire, that calling within me. And when I was 16, I was able to go on a 1-month trip to South Asia, and it was to Hong Kong, China, and Macau. And so that was my first overseas mission experience at 16.
Fantastic. And you've served in other places also, right?
Yes, I've also had a call to work in the country of Romania with the Gypsy people there in Transylvania. And so I've been on now 11 short-term trips to Romania over the course of about 10 years. And God's used that as a way to really affirm this call on my life and to build cross-cultural ministry skills.
Now I know that you really care about Muslim people, and I want to know, can you share a little bit with us about how God has called you or filled your heart with compassion for Muslim people?
So from the time that I was a little girl, I've always had this interest and this sense of just wanting to be with other people from other cultures and people with different beliefs, people who were different from me.
Sure.
And I do value the friendships and having family that are from other cultures. And I believe that it's the diversity in that really it adds a richness to life and to my walk with God.
Mm-hmm.
And when I felt like God was calling me into full-time ministry, I knew that eventually that would mean some kind of cross-cultural ministry and a stepping out from the familiar and to bring the hope and the love of Jesus to people in other places that haven't had that opportunity to hear and to accept that love and that hope from Him.
Right.
And in preparing for that missionary call, I spent months in prayer a while back, a few years ago, just asking God, how does He want me to live that out here in Seattle in full-time ministry in preparation for potentially going somewhere overseas. And I felt like God was leading me to develop relationships with Muslim people. And so in searching for how to do that, I had a couple of Muslim friends and some extended family that were from a Muslim background, but I wanted to go deeper than that and to really develop cross-cultural ministry skills with Muslim people. And so I started volunteering with World Relief Seattle.
Right.
And I worked as a volunteer English teacher in their English as a Second Language program.
Fantastic.
And as a cultural companion. And And those were both amazing experiences. And I was able to work with refugees that were coming from all over the world, but the majority of them were Muslims. And so that was an opportunity to figure out, who the people are and what do they believe and how do I live life alongside of them. So what I found through this experience of working with the refugees is that I found this friendship and this amazing hospitality and a warmth, especially among the Muslim people. And God used these last few years to really grow love and compassion in my heart for all people, but especially for refugees, and then especially for the Muslims among
Fantastic. You were a cultural companion with World Relief, and so you were partnered basically with a Muslim family from...
They were from northern Iraq.
From northern Iraq.
And so they were actually a Kurdish family.
Okay. What does that mean?
So the Kurdish it's an ethnic group of people. They have been in the area of northern Iraq for hundreds and hundreds of years, if not longer. And due to the war that was taking place in Iraq, they were faced with the choice to either flee their homeland, or many people actually were killed if they stayed.
So they were basically being persecuted in their own country.
Yeah.
So this family that you befriended through being a cultural companion with World Relief, you were saying that you learned that they were hospitable and friendly. Do you have any stories about your time with them?
So we started out our relationship by me coming, they invited me into their home, and we sat down and we just talked, and we had Iraqi tea and started just to get to know each other. And then I would come back to their home every week and help the kids with their schoolwork, helping them set up bank accounts, to learn how to go grocery shopping or shopping for school clothes. And I was able to actually do an outreach to the entire ESL class of refugees, where we did like a back to school drive.
Fantastic.
And so,
Fantastic. Sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like, was it easy to do? I mean,
for me, it felt easy for me.
Right.
I think it was actually harder for people around me, because there was a lot of fear as to, you're going to go into their home, you don't know them, they're from a different background, and I felt really confident that this is what God is asking me to do.
Right.
And so I think one of the benefits from me working with this family was that it opened up the eyes of the people around me as well.
Right.
And so they could see that there's no need to fear.
Right.
And that people are people.
Right.
And if you don't understand someone, you'll get to know them.
Right.
And a lot of times then the fears will dissipate. Actually, we had this Kurdish family into our home for Christmas and for different holiday celebrations, and their kids got to know my niece and nephew, and go and play basketball in the street, and so it was a good relationship.
That's awesome. So I know that your new adventure connects with this in a lot of ways. Where and what is God opening up for you to do? What opportunity do you have right now to serve? Where is God calling you?
So recently an opportunity opened up for me to go and serve as a volunteer missionary in the country of Serbia.
Where's Serbia?
Serbia is it's in Eastern Europe. It's kind of like near the Balkan countries. And so it's part of former Yugoslavia.
Okay. Fantastic. So you have God is opening up an opportunity for you to serve as a volunteer there. Doing what?
So right now, there are thousands of refugees that have come out of the Middle East, and they're making their way across Europe. But the borders of Serbia have been closed, and so there are thousands of refugees from the Middle East that are now trapped inside a country that is not welcoming them to stay. And so there are no job opportunities. The children are not allowed to attend the Serbian schools. They don't have homes. And so there's a refugee camp that has come up, and they're asking volunteers to come in to help distribute humanitarian aid, to help distribute food, to help with education for the children, to teach English,
right.
and then at the same time, there's opportunity to do ministry.
Fantastic. These refugee camps in Serbia, who set them up? Is that a different organization, or is that the Church of the Nazarene partnering with different organizations? I'm not sure too.
So right now, the Church of the Nazarene doesn't actually have any churches within the country of Serbia.
Okay.
And so what we've done then as a church is to go in through Nazarene Compassionate Ministries.
Okay, yeah.
And so we were able to go and partner with the Red Cross.
Okay.
And work within the refugee camps that way.
Fantastic. Now you said you're going as a volunteer missionary. How long will you be going for?
So the plan is for me to go for 1 month, for the month of October.
Okay.
And then I would come back to the Seattle area and do some fundraising and build awareness of what's going on
right.
in Europe right now. And then return early next year, January or February, for 1 year.
Great. So you're going to get boots on the ground in October and kind of learn what's happening, what the situation is, and then you can come back and share more with us about what is actually happening and what you and the church there. There are other volunteers there already, right?
There are a couple of Nazarene volunteers, and then there are several from other denominations.
Fantastic. Will it be dangerous?
Serbia itself, from what I've heard, is not a dangerous area to be in right now.
Okay.
But then you have the added factor of a refugee camp coming up in the middle of that. And so what I think of when people ask this question, because it does come up,
right.
Will it be safe? I think back to a quote that I heard from C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
And he says that God is not always safe, but he's always good.
Yeah.
And so I know that God is calling me to do this, and so I'm in his hands, and that's the best place you can be.
Amen. I agree. So, Sarah, how can we be praying for you as a church, as friends of NCA?
Well, prayers are definitely needed and appreciated. For one thing, I think the effectiveness of any ministry is really dependent in large part on the prayer support that's behind it.
Right.
And so, yeah, prayer for me personally as I'm navigating a new culture,
right.
2 new languages.
Right.
I have to learn Serbian and Arabic. So prayers for that. And then for the team that's already there, that God would be creating a spirit of unity among us and a common mission. And then prayer for the refugees and for the Serbian people that we'll be working with.
Fantastic. Yes, we will definitely pray for you, and we will also put up on our website and on our social media page, Facebook page, these prayer points for anybody who's watching and listening. Also, how else can we support you in this new ministry?
Well, in addition to prayer, financial support is always appreciated as well. It's a joint effort, really, in making this happen. It's something I think that we do together as a church. And so we've set up a page on youcaring.com. And so I'm searching for Sarah Emerson on youcaring.com. We'll bring up a page where you'll be able to read more about my ministry and my call, and then also what I'll be doing in Serbia.
Fantastic, yeah. And we'll also put up our You Caring page on our Facebook page and on our website, so be on the lookout for that as well. Sarah, it's been so good to just connect with you today and to hear a little bit more about this new adventure. We know that God is with you in this, and we're just excited for where you're going to be going, and we trust that this next season will bear much fruit for the kingdom.